What is going on, everybody? On here, and we've had some really interesting spoilers here for 30th. I've talked about the Chase Mew, the 1 in 10,000, the blue, green, red, that a lot of folks just don't think are real because they're Timmies. But I want to talk about some of the Easter eggs, and really, 30th anniversary is an homage to the original Pokemon, red and blue, and there's really a lot of cool things here. So I'm going to go through a couple Easter eggs, and then I want to talk to you guys about where I think the print runs are going next. Just got a message. Okay. So with the ETB, I told you guys back in April that Nidorina, I think I probably said Nidorino, but Nidorina is the promo. And the reason why Nidorina is promo is because it is the 30th Pokemon in the original Pokedex from the original games. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Clefairy is going to be the ETB promo for the 35th anniversary. Just saying. Yeah, it's going to happen. But there are Easter eggs all over this. Now, there's a lot of folks that saw the secret rare Mew and said, this isn't real. It doesn't have the 30th anniversary on, blah, 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 blah. But nobody's been around long enough to understand why this is the case. Now, we have the blue one here. We saw this today. This is red on green. So it's actually the same art. Now, I don't know if it looks real because this is what the real one looks like. But it also looks a little AI because it's a little fuzzy and kind of jacked up. But the reason why this is a secret rare, it wasn't in the booklet, doesn't have the 30th anniversary stamp on, because the Mew was not initially in the original game, so it wasn't part of red and blue. However, in the 11th hour, the developer threw the Mew into the game, and it was a secret Pokemon that you could find. If you don't want to believe me, we can look at it right here. Why isn't Mew in red and green? Why was Mew left out? There was no space left. So the Game Boy cartridge was full. The team finished up with 150 Pokemon, no more. Program, blah, blah, blah. They had a tiny bit left over. They removed the debugging app, and then they hid the Mew in there. Says for an internal prank, whatever. So it wasn't initially in, you guys have obviously heard of the 151 set, right? Well, there was originally 150. Mew was kind of crammed in here. So you have a card that was a secret to find in the game. It was the last one in. Now you have the Mew that is the secret to be pulled in the 30th anniversary set. And you have 3 iterations. You have the blue, you have the red, you have the green. They are approximately 1 in 10,000. And they're going to be worth a shit pile of money. So for those of you who are screaming it's fake because you've never seen it before, the internet is full of stupid people. The card is 100% real. The red one's most likely real. Now, I've seen iterations of Executor, Charmander. I did a video about that with sarcasm. Those aren't real. It's only the Mew. And this is why the context matters. And it's really cool what these guys are doing as an homage to the original game. So that being said, I'm going to talk about this one time, and then I'm not going to mention it again, because if you watch the videos, you'll be informed. And if you're not, you're just going to be a Timmy like the rest of the folks that are screaming on YouTube. We're going to start talking about print runs, and we're going to start talking about sets. And I mentioned a little bit ago that it seems like Destined Rivals, ETBs, were getting dropped week after week after week on Walmart. And by about the third week, it started to not make a whole lot of sense because it was kind of outside the realm of normal. Because normally you have a week or two of drops, then 3 weeks later you have, or 2 weeks later, you have a small drop of all the returned items. And then all of a sudden it hits distribution. Well, we're going on 2 months now. It hasn't hit distribution. Nobody distribution has any purchase orders. They don't know anything about this. So the question is what is going on? So I just found out from somebody in Discord that there's another 30,000 Destiny ETBs that are going to push out this week on Walmart. So what does that mean? That means that, in my opinion, Walmart is trying to cripple as many botters as they can by pushing a product out to Walmart that they believe has the highest value for botters, and they're trying to crush them and cripple them before 30th anniversary hits. I also saw today that GameStop is now taking pre-orders for these at $100 per. So I'm guessing once these get down to the $100 range, and they will, they're absolutely going to, they're probably going to push ETB cases out to distribution. That way distribution can't be pigs and mark the things up to $150. They're going to have to sell them in the $50, $60 range. So that's what I think is happening with that. Now, more importantly, we are going to see a return to normalcy in Pokemon for the standard sets. And here is the reason. So we had 3 sets to start the year. We have Perfect Order in March, Chaos Rising in May, which is ordinary course. Then we had Pitch Black. That was supposed to be the September set, accelerated to July. So for sets 2 and 3 of the year, or sets 4 and 5 of the block, there was only 2 months in the primary print facility to print those 2 sets. They were approximately the same amount or an even amount of product. Now that that is done, and we're getting Pitch Black Wave 2 booster boxes this week or next week, they've already landed at most of the distributors and most of the warehouses. They're caught up. So now we have Delta Rain, another small set. You're going to have the Rayquaza, whatever you want to call it. We have the Groudon, and the third one of the 3 is going to be in the set because you have all 3 of the arenas here from the game. I forget the name. I don't care. It's late. The Pokemon Company has 4 months, double the time to print this set. So they're either going to print the shit out of everything else. And mind you, in 4 months, they can print close to 2 million booster boxes. If that's all they print. Just saying, they can print a lot of shit. And again, this is the primary printing facility, not the specialized secondary one where they're printing 30th. Totally different place, different animal. But my guess is that with standard sets, we're no longer going to have waves. They're probably going to push all the product out in one wave. I'm sure the amount of product is going to be a little bit higher than what we've seen for the last couple sets. So there is a very, very good chance that at release, there is a large amount of product that comes into the market. The set is also going to release in early November. So you basically have 2 good weeks until everybody goes home for the holiday and things fall off a cliff like they did last year. So in my opinion, we can start to see Delta Rain. We could see it push down to 170, 180, just because you're getting double the amount of product at release. Now, that's not to say they're going to go away from waves, but they have a shitload of time to print this product. Now, what makes things even more interesting, and this is where I think things probably go below MSRP and things get normal, and then all of a sudden there's a giant air pocket because all the bot demand is gone. Again, this is only standard sets. Special sets, nothing's going to change. The demand is still there. The resource constraints, the print constraints are still there, at least for now. When the March set, or what I think is probably going to be a February set, comes out, which presumably should be a Mega Lucario set. I think it's Mega Lucario set. Aura Seeker, whatever it is. English cards printed in the US are no longer being exported to Latin America. They've made this announcement to all the Mexican distributors. Don't believe me, go back in my videos, look for it. I did a video on it with the exact emails going to all of the distributors saying, starting in 2027, we will no longer be sending English cards to Latin America. We want you to support Spanish language cards, which quite honestly has been one of their large initiatives forever. And Spanish language cards haven't caught on that much because English has been available. It also helps prevent all of the 2-month early leaks because a lot of that product is coming from Mexico, Central America, South America. Obviously, the one that we just saw with the Mew in Australia is most likely coming from Malaysia, Singapore. Almost certainly nothing to do with South America or Central America or Mexico or whatever the fuck you would call it. So they kind of kill two birds with one stone. And I'm guessing that's anywhere from 25,000 to 75,000 booster boxes, plus all of the ancillary product that was going to Central America and coming back. That is now going to go through traditional distribution. What that means is now there is another chunk of supply coming out for the regular sets, all of the sets in 2027. But most importantly, that first set, which is going to be your Mega 7. So now you have two legs up in supply. That is a scenario where most likely, if it is a small set and a weak set, which it could be, if they keep going down this path, I think they're going to go back to normal size sets in 2027, just because they're not going to need the print capacity, or they're going to have enough print capacity. But when that first set comes out, when Mega 7 comes out, we very well could see $130, $140, $160 booster boxes, especially if it's not waived, because now you're going to get all the supply dumped at once. And all the broke-ass Timmy stores that pissed all their money away during the golden age of the bull market will now have to scramble for cash flow, and they are going to die. There's also going to be a significant amount of supply going through big box stores because the bot demand is going to go to zero. So we're going to be in a world where ETBs, booster bundles, hanger packs, EX boxes, they're all sitting at Target, at Walmart, and they're probably sitting on the shelves because ultimately the pricing is not going to be good enough for people to want. Now, again, this is not going to have any impact on the specialty sets. So when the 7.5 set comes out, and again, I have not confirmed, I'm just making an educated guess. It is going to be the Mega Evolutions Tag Team set. That's going to be batshit crazy. So you're going to have really a divergence of your standard sets that have a ton of product out there, and moderate demand, and the specialty sets that are going to have a ton of product, but the demand is going to be absolutely through the roof. And for those of us that have been here for a long time, we're going to sell the popular sets, make our profit, and roll that into the unpopular sets that we can get cheap. And those are the ones that are going to start to age well now. Obviously, there's been a severe rotation from Pokemon into Magic because the entry point for Pokemon is not great for investing, at least in the short term. So it's going to be interesting because we're going to be in a world where Pokemon is cooling off and Magic is heating up. So I would anticipate a lot of dollars to come into Magic and start to put some investment dollars in Magic. But the question is how well can Pokemon control themselves when it comes to increasing production of the standard sets, which quite honestly doesn't need that much more product, maybe 10%, 15%, but what they're doing is working. So all of this magical untapped demand that's out there, it's like 5 or 10% above what's being printed. And now that the rip and shippers are slowing down because the sets are small and the hits are plentiful. I said that weird. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. So for me, this is a dream because we're super well capitalized. We're going into a world where presumably we can get 2 to 3 times the product we're getting now because not everybody and their brother is going to be screaming for it, especially the ancillary stuff. So our spend for Pokemon can go up exponentially, just like it is right now for Magic. And this is really a godsend from the TCG gods for timing. If you're a store, this is going to be your opportunity to step things up now. Is your profitability going to be the same? Of course not. But if your profitability gets cut in half and your volume doubles, as long as you can figure out a way to move the product, you are net neutral today, and you are worlds ahead when things swing back up to the plus side. So, anyway, guys, just some thoughts on this. A little bit of education and history. So, hope you enjoyed it. So, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and we'll talk tomorrow. I might do an early video because there's a ton of Magic that it is so close to teetering on going parabolic. It's super, super interesting. So, all right, guys, have a good night.